Good day, Brutal Planet listeners. This is Eric Peterson, and today I'm joined by Adrienne Cowan from Spires. Adrienne, how are you doing today?
Doing great, thanks. How about you?
I am great. So you guys got the new album coming out today, actually. Oh,
Yeah.
excellent! I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too.
And I love the album, the new album. I was going to chat with you a little bit about the new album. There were some of the songs that I really enjoyed. The one of my favorite songs was the Unmapped Darkness on the album. I love that song.
Oh, cool.
And I kind of described it as a Mary Poppins meets Maleficent kind of a sound.
Yes.
You know, because
I remember reading that.
it's got like that the very pretty side of Adrienne, and then it's got the real dark, deep side of Adrienne, which I love.
You know, it's important to let both sides of the demon out, I think.
and you did it very well. You did it very well.
Thanks.
Is there any other songs on the album that particularly that you really enjoyed, recording or writing or anything?
Two of my favorite ones as far as writing and recording would be Silvery Moon and Fearless, two totally different songs.
Oh, nice.
I was still at university at the time that I wrote them, and I was having kind of a hard time. But you know, I was in my last semester, and I just had to, fill some credits, and so I said, why not make it useful and brush up on my songwriting and lyric writing? So I took some songwriting and lyric writing classes, and I submitted those songs that I was just writing anyway.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, wow. They said, I remember they said that Silvery Moon was so magical, and then I remember my professor's face when I submitted Fearless that week, and he looked at me with this like, "Are you okay?" face.
Nice.
Yeah, the assignment was like, turn in a song that isn't about romantic love, and so I submit this song about I do not fear the darkness, I do not fear the cold, and yeah. He's like, I like that you have this like growling and soprano voices, and yeah, he just had this very strange expression on his face.
So the album itself is a prequel to your first album, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And it seems to follow a very much of a storyline. Can you explain the story just real quick to us?
Yeah, of course. So in Solvay, the first album, there are two characters. One is the protagonist, the lost soul who wanders through the underworld and meets the other character, the demon. And so Emerald sees is the backstory of the demon character. I think I've read some reviews where it said that it's the lost soul, but the correct version is it's the backstory of the demon.
Uh-huh.
And it's when the demon was still human. And so basically the story is this character is searching for the kind of solution of eternal life.
Okay.
And they find out that it's, we could call it the Fountain of Youth. They find out that the Fountain of Youth is based on an island far to the east, and it's guarded by an ancient beast that lives underwater and hunts sailors when it senses that they have lost all hope. And so that's kind of the premise of the story. And should I tell the whole story? Or
yeah, go ahead and tell a little. I think it's a cool story.
Oh, okay, well, great. So we'll call them our hero, because I intended it to be kind of a gender ambiguous kind of character. You can project yourself into this character, whether you're male or female or otherwise, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll call them our hero. And so our hero makes port in a city before the final long stretch of ocean to the island in the east, and they run into a person from their childhood, basically a childhood sweetheart, who is also on their own kind of lifelong quest to do whatever it is that they're doing. And so they meet up, and our hero is like, wow, I haven't felt this alive in in so long, and it would be so great if you would join me on this journey. And the childhood friend is like, yeah, that would be great, but I can't. So our hero is like heartbroken, but they're like, okay, well, I'll keep going. It's fine, because this is my personal dream, and this is what I've always wanted to do, to find this solution of eternal life. And so they're on their ship. I neglected to mention this, but their ship is called the Great Divide, and it's powered by our hero's greatest desires.
Okay.
So, they're out on the ocean, and they're like, damn, I'm torn between my dream and, like, kind of really starting to burn out on this, because I've been doing this my whole life, and, maybe it's not so great to find eternal life after all. And then this ancient beast is like, oh, I see you have lost all hope. And our hero's like, yeah, just take me, it's fine. So
oh, wow.
This beast eats the character whole, along with pieces of the ship. And so the character's in the belly of the beast, drowning in stomach acid, and kind of hallucinating final goodbyes to their loved ones, because they know they'll never see them again in this life. And the pieces of the Great Divide kind of sense that our hero is starting to die, basically. And so it's, of course, the body kind of kicks into survival mode, and the ship from the inside of the beast guides it to the island, reaches the beast. Our hero kind of clambers, we'll go with climbs. Claws their way out of the carcass, and collapses next to a stream, which is the fountain of youth. And in their last moments of life, they manage to have some of this water, and then they are suddenly immortal, and they're like, well, I did it, and now I have to watch everyone I love die over and over again. So that's just great, and that's the trouble with eternal life.
Ah, okay, so that explains that song.
Yep.
Ah, okay. And then the last song.
And then, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just okay. You continue. I was jumping ahead.
Oh, some time passes, and then they, as their humanity fades with all the years that have passed, they become this twisted demon figure, and then that same childhood friend, the soul of that person, appears, and then we have the album Silvery.
Ah, okay. So to me, in part of it, the very last song, it kind of acts to me as the end credits to the album.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that was purposeful then.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, okay.
We also did something like this with Silvery. I have a bit of a theater background, just from like grade school, and I always love to have a little bit of an overture where you revisit all the melodies and hear them with new ears, I guess, or what am I trying to say? I didn't sleep that much last night. I was too excited about it to release. You hear the melodies after having experienced the whole story, and it all kind of has a different color to it, I guess. Maybe a little more bittersweet than the first time you heard it.
Oh, that's
so that's what I tried to say.
No, that's really interesting, because it, like I said, it has this very much of a feeling of like you would see if you closed your eyes, you could see the credits rolling through and stuff like that, and I love that. So
great. I'm glad. That's kind of what I hoped for.
So then, you guys you're going to start on a tour coming up in March, right?
Yeah, a few weeks from now, I think.
And you're going to be out on the road with Insomnium, right?
Yeah, Insomnium and Omnium Gatherum. I'm actually wearing an Omnium Gatherum shirt today.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, that was my sleepy pick of the day.
Nice. And so that's going to be, and you guys are going to be on tour for a little over a month, right?
Yep, I think about 5 weeks. It'll be the longest one that we've done, and definitely the longest one that I've done as a lead vocalist ever, actually. I'm a little bit scared, but I've been training hard for it, so hopefully it will be fine.
Nice. And then this fall, the tour that I'm I mean, I'm looking forward to that tour just so I can see you guys when you come to Salt Lake. But the other tour that I'm really looking forward to is the Amaranthe and Battle Beast tour that you guys are going to do in August and September. That's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely. Amaranthe are one of my biggest guilty pleasures. I can't even call them a guilty pleasure because I have no shame.
Yeah. No, I get it completely. I mean, they're amazing.
They're just so much fun. We've played with them a couple times. I've seen them at least a couple times, and every live show that I've seen from them is just stupid fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes, admittedly, I don't always understand, they'll put out a new record and I'll be like, why did they make these choices? And then I'll see the songs live and then it'll be like, this is why they made those choices. I understand now.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
The cool thing about him is usually, at least the times I've seen him, I can't remember the bass player's name, but he usually gets up and he starts saying, you know what, we are who we are. We don't care if you think we're heavy metal or not. We are who we are, and we love it.
That's fantastic. I love that.
And that's the way it should be. There's a lot of haters out there that if you don't fit the mold, that you are somehow wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, basically, rules are there to be bent or broken.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a bad attitude to have, but it's got me this far. So.
Well, so that brings me to a question I have for you that I've been wanting to ask you since I got into you guys in 2017, and I follow you guys on Instagram, and you particularly have said in the past you've referred to yourself as a millennial, correct?
Yes.
So
I was born in '95, which makes me barely a millennial, but technically still a millennial.
Okay. So my question for you is, as millennials start to make their way into the music scene, and start to basically move up into the music scene, what changes do you see coming into the music scene based on millennials moving into it?
This is a really hard question for multiple reasons, and one of those reasons is, despite being technically a millennial, I relate often to Gen Z people.
Okay.
And also half of our band are Gen Z babies.
Okay.
Gen Zs.
Okay.
Anyway, but as a millennial, it's weird because compared to the people that were there before, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the music industry changes every 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And even as far as social media is concerned, when I really started playing out a lot more in the early 2010s, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It seems so long ago.
Yeah.
It was Instagram was barely a thing, and Facebook was so different, and bands didn't have to pay to be seen basically on the social media algorithm, and so it's hard to say how things will be different for us in our generation of musicians, but it's definitely going to be different. Even, you could say anything about the evolution of the digital age of music and streaming and everything, but I think there was something that somebody mentioned in one of my business classes, and it was that music is going to become a commodity more like running water or central air conditioning or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
That's something that somebody said, so you would pay for it as a service rather than supporting specific artists. And I've started to see that more, especially with, I'm a big Spotify user.
Uh-huh.
So I agree with that, but I also would say that, in a sense, also, people will be able to feel really good about supporting their favorite artists because it's that's a special thing that you can do now rather than, I guess it's different to buy a CD or something from an artist that you really love now than it used to be because it's people will recognize that. I think that people are just starting to realize it's so much harder than everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I just was going to ask you as a follow-up, has anybody ever asked you that question?
No one's ever.
Oh, really?
That's why I was like, let me just pull something out of my ass here.
No, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a millennial, but just for me being a Generation Xer, it's different because I'm so used to the way things were from records to cassettes, to CDs, and actually having that physical copy in my hand and looking at the liner notes and stuff. And now it's like everything's digital, and there's really nothing that you have physically in your hands, and it's so hard for me.
I totally agree with you, and that's why I was saying it becomes such a special experience if you support an artist that you really love by buying a physical thing. I like to buy vinyl personally, because not only do I know that it's much harder for bands to sell vinyl, and I know that it's more expensive and it's harder to carry around on tour, but I also like to have this larger piece of artwork in my hands that I can open and look at, and that's so much more special to me than just streaming an album on Spotify.
And then I don't mean to keep on this subject, but as you work with other generations, do you I mean, you obviously embrace some of it, but is there some of it where you go, come on, Grandpa, get over it?
Yes. Some discussions that I have on the Avantasia bus can be like this. Not always.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll be telling stories. Like Jeff Tate will talk about how he sold X number of copies of his record before they got signed or whatever, and then he would go to some label and be like, "We did this. Would you like to sign us?" And if we did that now, I mean, it would basically be impossible to sell as many records as he did on our own, and it's just that's so unrealistic to think about now.
Yeah. Which brings me to another subject I was going to touch with you about is you were on the Avantasia tour this last year, and I got to see you when you hit North America. I actually went to 2 shows. I went to the San Jose show and I went to the Anaheim show, and it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought because the last time you guys came, or last time they came, I ended up getting cancer, and so I couldn't go to any of the shows. So I thought this time I'm going to treat myself right, and I'm going to go. And your part was amazing because I think you filled so many parts to that role that the people that were before you couldn't really fill. I mean, they were more of the high end, but you have that low end that really turned and gave you more diversity into that role.
That's what I tried to do because I feel like I've said this a lot, but I was so scared to basically step into Amanda Somerville's role.
Yeah.
Because she's so loved by the fans, and I'm nothing like her, physically or vocally, at all. And I had to take some of Ina's parts as well because the other backing vocalist.
Yeah.
She only did Europe with us on that tour, and so I ended up doing some Michael Keith parts, and then the creator parts, and man, I just had to try to do my best, and on the parts, for example, the song Moon Glow is totally not at all my style. And,
yeah.
I just try. I know that probably most other female singers would have done a better job, but it's the job that I have, and well, they picked me, so I'll do my best.
Yeah, I mean, you did. So how was it on the tour? I mean, was it a bit intimidating at first?
Oh God, yeah, I was scared shitless.
Because when I went to the San Jose show and I did an interview with Bob Catley, and and after the interview he said, "Oh, I'll get you out of here. Come in here real quick." And so I walked into this room, and it's this big open area, and the whole band is there, and you see the people that, I mean, I'm sure you felt this way. You see the people that you idolized. You see Jorn sitting there. You see Jeff Tate sitting there. You see Toby sitting there, and you see all these guys just sitting around chatting, and you're just standing there on the corner going, Oh yeah, here I am. And
Did I arrive on Mount Olympus?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Am I dead?
how long did it take you before you could start like jabbing jokes with them and stuff?
Honestly, it wasn't until we got out of Europe, because that is, I think that was the point when I started doing the Michael Keith parts. So that was the point. And sorry, my phone's blowing up right now.
Because you guys are kicking ass. Because your album is kicking ass already. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. When we left Europe, that was the point when I started doing high belting solo parts. Like in Reach Out for the Light, there's this part that's like, in your mind, type of thing. Yeah. And I did it differently than everybody else before me had done, and at that point, then the band was like, oh, holy shit, she doesn't just scream. We didn't know. Except for Sashi, because, of course, he mixes Spires, but everyone was like, oh, wow, okay. And that was the point where I felt comfortable enough to be like, thank you. I will accept your compliment now.
Yeah.
Or I'd be like, oh, please don't even look at me. Like, I had such bad imposter syndrome on that tour. It's like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, anyone else would have done a better job. I'm just like some freaking idiot that, like, who am I? Like, that's really hard. But, once I felt that I could present myself as I am wholly instead of just one aspect of myself, I felt a little bit better, and like I could kind of take up a little bit of space. Yeah. I mean, I can completely know exactly how you feel, because I felt the same way, just sitting in that room for like 2 minutes, just going, yeah, this is really uncomfortable, because you guys are all kind of looking at... It's totally uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. You guys are all looking at me, and I'm just here waiting for somebody, so...
Yeah. Oh, well, and the other part is, like, these people have all traveled the world together several times.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're the new... we were both the new people, so it's... Oh, and Ina as well, of course, was new. But so it's just like all these people are friends, and I'm like, I know 2 people.
Exactly. So I feel for you, but I just have to say that
people like started practicing their English more too, because I don't really speak German.
True.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say you really made it. I mean, and it sounds like you actually even proved yourself to them that you belong here. So good for you.
Thanks.
Well, Adrienne, I appreciate your time, and I'm so excited that this album's finally out and that I can share it with everybody and tell them to go pick it up. So I look forward to seeing you guys when you come to Salt Lake. And if anybody else, when you guys are all listening out there, go buy the album and go support the tour and buy. Are you guys going to have vinyl of the album?
Not yet, but maybe in the future.
Okay.
I hope in the future.
Okay. So buy merch from them, buy everything you can from them, go get selfies with them, do everything to support these guys. So
thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been great. So we will be in touch, and you take care of yourself and have fun on the tour.
Absolutely.